The sky above Ravon Station turned red for exactly 3 seconds. That's how long the entry flare lasted as a small pod tore through the upper atmosphere and crash-landed just beyond the outer dome. Most people on the station ignored it. Just another piece of junk falling from the stars. But Lieutenant Warren Harker, new to the station and always alert, saw it through the dirty window of his quarters. He didn't know it yet, but everything would change because of that crash. By the time Harker reached the crash site, the security team was already there. Dust still floated in the air. The pod, small, black, and scorched, had slammed into the rock and carved a trench 10 meters long. Smoke rose from its broken hatch, and sparks danced like fireflies. The pod hissed open, and from the shadows, something moved. 2 drones floated closer, aiming their stun rifles. "Come out with your limbs raised," the bot said, voice flat. A figure stumbled forward. Humanoid, but not human. She was tall and thin, her dark armor dented and cracked. A mask covered most of her face, but her yellow eyes were visible, sharp, glowing, and wide with exhaustion. "She's Karnat," one of the guards muttered. "Those bastards again." The Karnat were an alien species humanity had been at peace with for over 20 years, but that peace was thin. Most humans didn't trust them. Some believed they were spies, thieves, monsters under the skin. "Hands up," the bot repeated. The alien didn't raise her hands. She dropped to her knees instead, one hand clutching something round and glowing. A soldier moved to take it. She growled, low and animal-like. Harker stepped forward. "Wait! Don't take it yet!" The lead security officer, Trask, gave him a glare. "She's carrying a military beacon, Terran design. That means she stole it." "She's injured," Harker replied, "and alone. Maybe we ask questions before throwing her in a cell." Trask snorted. "You're new here, Lieutenant. Around here, aliens don't get the benefit of the doubt." Still, they didn't shoot her. The bot stunned her instead. She collapsed, unconscious. Back at the station, they locked her in one of the holding cells. Harker visited the next morning. She was awake. Sitting in the far corner, her eyes followed him like a hawk. She didn't speak, didn't move. The round device, now shut off, was sealed in a case across the room. It looked like a mix of human and alien tech, something cobbled together by someone who knew both languages. Harker sat outside the glass wall. "Do you understand me?" No answer. "My name's Warren Harker. I'm an engineer, not security. I was there at the crash site. You nearly burned up coming in." Still silence. He sighed. "They're calling you a thief. Some want you shipped, off to command. Some want you airlocked." Her head tilted slightly. "That was something. I don't think you're a thief," he continued. "You held on to that device like your life depended on it. People don't steal things to protect them like that." She stared at him, still silent. After a long pause, she finally spoke. Her voice was dry, strange, and cracked from dehydration. "Name?" "Thesha." Harker blinked. "Thesha, is that your name?" She gave a slow nod. He smiled slightly. "Nice to meet you, Thesha. Over the next 2 days, things got worse. The station's local network was hacked, briefly, but deeply. Someone searched military records, accessed maps, and copied encrypted documents. When they traced the breach, it led to the device found, with Thesha. To everyone, this proved she was a spy. "She's Karnat," Trask said. "They've always been liars. This one's no different. She brought stolen Terran military intel. She hacked our system. We need to hand her over to fleet security." "No," Harker said, standing his ground. "I've been going through the data myself. Some of it was flagged as missing months before Thesha entered our space. She didn't steal it from us. She might have been bringing it back." "Why would a Karnat smuggle Terran tech back to us?" Trask growled. "I don't know, but I think she was trying to warn us. You're betting on the word of an alien, over your own people. I'm not betting on anything, Harker replied. I'm trying to understand before we make a mistake. That night, alarms blared. Harker rushed to the brig. Smoke filled the hallway. One of the holding cells was breached. Someone had tried to kill Thesha. She was bleeding, leaning against the wall, claws out, growling like a cornered animal. A human body lay on the floor nearby, unconscious but breathing. A small explosive device had taken out the cell's security panel. She hadn't escaped. She'd defended herself. Someone had tried to silence her. Trask arrived minutes later. What the hell happened here? She was attacked, Harker said. Someone tried to kill her. Then maybe she knows more than she's saying. Trask muttered. Harker helped Thesha to her feet. She looked at him, breathing heavily. Why are you helping me? She asked. He hesitated. Because no one else will. 2 days after the attack in the holding cell, the station leaders called a tribunal. It was supposed to be quick. Commander Trask stood at the front of the main chamber, wearing his cleanest uniform and his coldest face. Around him sat officers, engineers, and local station heads. One seat stayed empty, the one for Thesha's defense. No one wanted to represent a so-called alien thief. No one but Harker. He sat alone on her side of the table, his jaw tight, hands gripping a data pad, full of notes. Everyone thought he was wasting his time. Some even laughed behind his back, but he didn't care. He had seen too much to walk away now. Behind the glass wall stood Thesha. Her arms were cuffed, and 2 security drones hovered near her. She said nothing. Her face was calm, but her eyes never left Harker. Commander Trask cleared his throat. We are here to decide the fate of the Karnat subject found in possession of stolen Terran military tech. As of now, she is charged with espionage, theft, and attempted sabotage. Murmurs rose across the room. Most nodded in agreement. The decision felt made before it began. Harker stood. Permission to speak? Trask didn't bother hiding his frown. You're not a legal officer, Lieutenant? No, sir, but I have the right to defend someone who has no voice. A long pause. Then Trask sighed. Fine. Make it quick. Harker activated the holopad. Images floated in the air. Schematics, ship logs, a map of known Karnat space. 3 weeks ago, Harker began, a breach was detected in a Terran, black site called Site 12. It was believed the Karnat Empire stole high-value data. That same data was found inside the device Thesha carried. He tapped the pad again. But look here. This log shows the Karnat breach happened before Thesha left her territory. She couldn't have been the thief. She was somewhere else entirely. Trask folded his arms. Then why was the data in her hands? That's the question, Harker replied. I think she was returning it, or trying to warn us about who really took it. Gasps filled the room. One officer stood. You're saying she risked her life to bring us a warning? Yes, Harker said. And someone here tried to kill her for it. Trask snapped. That attacker was unstable. It proves nothing. No, sir, Harker said, locking eyes with him. It proves that someone wanted her dead before she could speak, and that means there's more to this than a simple theft. The lights dimmed. The screen shifted again, showing a picture of the hybrid device Thesha had carried. A mix of human metal and Karnat wiring. She didn't make this herself, Harker continued. This is advanced work. Someone with deep knowledge built it. Someone trying to combine Karnat and Terran tech. The room grew quiet. Everyone knew such devices were illegal. Karnat-Terran tech blending was banned after the Cold Peace Treaty. If someone was making them again, it meant trouble for both sides. Trask looked annoyed now. Even if what you say is true, why not contact us through the proper channels? Harker turned to Thesha behind the glass. Let her speak for herself. The room hesitated. Trask shook his head. She's already under charges. She's already been attacked, locked up, and silenced. Harker cut in. Let her speak. Trask stared at him, then finally gave a short nod. The glass wall slid open. Thesha stepped forward, slow and quiet, her cuffs still on. She stood next to Harker. Her voice was low, but clear. "I was part of Karnat Outer Defense," she said. "We discovered traitors, a new group inside our empire. They call themselves Voidline Ascendancy. They want war. They believe both our kinds are weak. They have stolen human data, made machines with both bloods." She looked around the room. "I ran. I escaped with proof. I came here. I did not mean to crash. I did not want to fight." The officers shifted uncomfortably. Someone whispered, "Voidline?" Another said, "Why haven't we heard of this group before?" "Because," Thesha said, "they hide, like shadows, like poison in water. You do not see them until it is too late." Harker stepped beside her. "She brought us a warning, and instead of listening, we locked her up." Trask slammed the table. "Enough. This is still unverified alien speech. No hard evidence connects her story to a real threat." "But she's telling the truth," Harker said firmly. Trask turned to the panel. "You've heard the arguments. Let's vote." 5 minutes later, the results were clear. The majority voted to hand Thesha over to Terran Command. They would decide what to do with her. Harker was officially ordered to cease contact. Guards stepped forward to take her away, but before she left, she turned to Harker. In front of everyone, she said in her sharp, quiet voice, "You believed me before anyone else did. That matters, even if no one else sees it." Then she walked away, head held high. That night, Harker sat alone in his quarters, staring at the stars through the station window. He had failed to save her. Or so he thought. Then his screen blinked. An encrypted message popped up. Unmarked? No. Sender. Inside it was a single line. "They know I spoke. They are coming." Attached was a data pulse, a deep-coded file unlike anything Harker had ever seen. His hands shook as he read the first few lines. Voidline Ascendancy. Hybrid weapons. Testing. Locations, human space, Karnat space, Ravon station. Warren Harker didn't sleep that night. He read the encrypted file from Thesha again and again. Each line made his chest tighten. The Voidline Ascendancy wasn't just real, they were planning something big. Ravon station was on their list. That meant everyone here could be in danger, and nobody even believed the threat existed. He had to act, but quietly. If Trask or the others found out what he was doing, they'd shut him down. Or worse. The next morning, Harker went back to the command center, pretending everything was normal. He smiled. He joked with the mechanics, but his eyes watched every camera feed, every hallway, every person, and then he saw it. A Black Armor security team from Terran Command had arrived early. Unannounced, no flags, no standard welcome. They didn't report to Trask. They didn't even greet the crew. They headed straight for the brig. "They're here for her," Harker whispered to himself. But they weren't here to rescue Thesha. They were going to silence her. Without waiting, Harker rushed to the brig. He took the back route through the service tunnels, crawling through warm metal and thick wires. His heart pounded in his ears. He reached the brig just in time. Through the vent grate, he saw 2 command soldiers already inside. One had a stun stick. The other held a suppressor collar, a tool used for violent prisoners. But Thesha was sitting, quietly, not resisting. Harker saw fear in her eyes. Though she didn't show it, they weren't here to transfer her. There was no transport shuttle, no orders shown. This wasn't protocol. This was a cleanup. Harker didn't think. He acted. He opened the emergency valve and dropped from the vent. The guards turned, surprised. Harker fired his handheld pulse tool at the lights. Sparks exploded, and the room went dark. "Thesha, move!" She didn't ask questions. She shot forward as Harker tackled the nearest guard. The man fell hard. The second swung the stun stick, but Thesha was already behind him. A quick strike to the neck dropped him. Red alarms flared. Sirens howled across the station. "You just made yourself a criminal," Thesha said, grabbing the guard's keycard. "I'll worry about that later," Harker said, panting. "Let's go." They ran. Down metal halls, through service ladders, past blinking lights and confused workers. Harker knew every corner of Raven Station, every weak door, every shortcut. Thesha moved fast, quiet, like a shadow. She didn't ask questions. She trusted him now, but the command team was faster than expected. They locked down the main exits. Drones were released. "Fugitives detected," the robotic voices echoed. "Lethal force authorized," Harker cursed. "They're treating us like traitors." "We are not traitors," Thesha said. "We are witnesses. That is worse to them." They reached the hangar. 3 ships sat in, docking ports. Only one was small enough to fly without crew. Harker's maintenance shuttle, fast, weak, but undetectable in drift mode. He activated the door, and it slid open with a hiss. "Hurry!" They jumped inside. As Harker prepped launch, Thesha took the co-pilot seat and plugged a small wire into the ship's interface. The lights blinked. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Wiping station logs," she said. "If we escape, they must not follow." Smart, he thought. Very smart. Outside, soldiers pounded on the hangar doors. Sparks flew from welds being cut. "Hang on," Harker said. He hit launch. The shuttle's thrusters screamed. The ship blasted forward, punching through the half-open doors. A wall of fire followed them as the station's emergency shields kicked. In too late, they were free, for now. In space, the stars blinked calmly. The quiet almost felt peaceful. But Harker knew better. "They'll follow," he said. "Even if you wipe the logs." Thesha nodded. "Yes, but we are not running without reason." She handed him a small cube. "The data pulse. This holds everything. Proof, plans, maps, human and Karnat targets. You must send it to your leaders." "I will," Harker said. "But where do we go?" She looked out the window, eyes glowing softly. "There is a place between stars, old listening post, abandoned, safe from scans. I will guide." Harker set course. The engines hummed. Hours passed. In the dark of space, Harker finally asked what had been on his mind since the beginning. "Why me?" he said. "Why trust me? You didn't know me." Thesha didn't answer right away. Then she said, "You were the only one who looked at me without hate." That hit him harder than he expected. She continued, "I ran from my people. I broke laws. I brought the enemy's secrets here. I expected death. But you spoke." He looked down, quiet. "You deserved better." "We do not always get what we deserve," she said softly. "But sometimes we find what we need." Suddenly, the ship's alarms beeped. "Incoming." "Signal," Harker said. On screen, a message appeared. It wasn't a voice. Just red letters. "We see you." Then the long-range radar lit up. 3 unknown ships. Fast. No ID tags. Coming in hot. Void line ships. "They found us," Thesha said. Standing, Harker looked at her. "Still want to stick with me?" She gave a small smile. "Now I cannot leave. You are too slow without me." He grinned back. "Fair enough." He switched off safety mode and took manual control. "If we're going down," Harker said, "we'll make it loud." "No," Thesha replied, eyes locked on the enemy ships. "We survive, then we fight." The enemy ships were getting closer. On the radar, 3 red dots moved like sharks, fast and silent. No flags, no signals, no warning, only purpose. Harker sat tight in the pilot's chair, fingers dancing across controls. Thesha stood beside him, one hand on the back of his seat, the other gripping a support rail. Her eyes never left the screen. "Distance?" she asked. 15,000 kilometers, Harker said. Too close. Then we go dark. He nodded. He cut the engine, power, and switched the shuttle into drift mode. Lights inside the cabin dimmed. The heat vents shut off. The shuttle now looked like just another floating piece of space junk. They drifted through the blackness in silence. The enemy ships passed close, so close that Harker could see their sleek bodies through the viewport. No windows, no lights. Just smooth black metal with glowing blue lines, like veins, alien and Terran designs twisted together. Wrong in every way. Thesha whispered, "Void line." "They don't even look alive," Harker said. "They are not meant to live. They are meant to win." The ships moved past. Harker and Thesha waited 5 full minutes before reactivating systems. When power returned, Thesha immediately checked the data cube. "Still intact. Good," Harker said, trying to breathe. "Now, let's get to that listening post." Thesha gave him new coordinates. The map showed a dead zone, no stations, no patrols, no trade routes. It was far out and empty. Perfect. For hiding. The shuttle changed course and slipped back into the dark. Hours later, they reached it. Floating above a silent gray moon, the listening post looked like a broken ring. Half its structure was shattered, and the docking bay door hung crooked. It hadn't been touched in years. Harker guided the shuttle in. "You sure this place is safe?" "Built during the first Karnat-Terran Cold War," Thesha explained. "Never fully used. Both sides forgot it. They docked. Inside, the air was thin but stable. Old lights flickered on. The place smelled of rust and dust." Harker looked around. "Feels haunted." "Better haunted than hunted," she replied. They set up inside a small control room. Thesha started cleaning the comm systems while Harker connected the shuttle's battery to the main grid. For a while, they worked in silence. Then Thesha said, "I want to show you something." She reached into her belt and pulled out a small crystal chip. It glowed faintly. "This is my proof," she said. "My people didn't believe me. They said I was a coward, a liar. But this chip, it holds names of those who betrayed us, who now serve the Void Line." Harker took it carefully. "Terrans on the list, too?" "Yes. Some humans. Some Karnat. All working for war." He stared at the chip. "Why would they want war?" Thesha's voice turned hard. "Because peace makes them weak. They need chaos to feel strong. They want to rebuild the galaxy in their own image. No laws, no mercy, just control." Harker placed the chip beside the data cube. "We need to send this out. Broadcast it wide." "Yes," Thesha said. "But not yet." He looked at her. "Why?" "Because first," she said, "we make sure we survive." That night, if night even existed in deep space, Harker couldn't sleep. He sat near the window, staring at the stars. He felt small, tired, and unsure. He was no hero, just a station engineer. A guy who fixed broken doors and recharged power cells, but somehow he had become part of something bigger. Thesha joined him quietly, sitting on the floor. "Do you miss your home?" she asked. He nodded. "Yeah. Earth has problems, but it's still home." "I never had a home," she said. "What about your people?" "They called me traitor, said I had lost my way, but I did not lose my way. I left their way." He looked at her. "You chose what was right." "Yes," she said softly, "even when it cost me everything." They sat together in silence, a strange peace between them. No station noise, no guards, no one calling her a thief, just two people, alone in the stars. The peace didn't last. A sudden buzz came from the console. Thesha jumped to her feet. "Scan alert! They found us!" Harker ran to the screen. A ship was approaching fast, smaller than before, but faster. A scout. "Void Line?" he asked. She nodded. "Yes, but alone." "That's good, right?" "No," she said. "It means the others are near. This one is just to confirm." Harker took a breath. Then we have to stop it. Here. Now. He grabbed a power rifle from the emergency crate. He had never used one in combat before, but it felt better than nothing. Thesha checked the docking. System. They will breach in 4 minutes. We hold them off, he said. We end them, she corrected. They set up traps using old wires, fuel lines, and pressure triggers. Thesha showed him how to sharpen tools into throwing weapons. Harker didn't ask where she learned that. They took positions near the main hatch. The sound of the enemy breaching echoed through the station. Slow, heavy footsteps. Not human, not Karnat. Something mixed. Unnatural. The door opened. A tall figure stepped in. Black armor, blue lights, no face. It moved like a machine, but too smooth. Its hands turned into blades. Harker fired first. The blast hit the thing in the chest, but it didn't fall. It turned, fast. Thesha leapt from the shadows and struck it with a long pipe, knocking it off. Balance. Harker hit the trap trigger. An electric burst from the fuel line stunned the creature. It screamed, a horrible sound like grinding metal and a dying animal. They attacked together, fast, focused. When the thing finally dropped, it twitched and exploded. The blast shook the hall. Sparks flew. Thesha shielded Harker with her body, then silence again. Smoke filled the air. They coughed, bruised, alive. Harker looked at her. One scout down. She nodded. But the others are coming. Stood heart pounding. Then let's send the message now, before it's too late. Smoke still hung in the air from the exploded scout. The old listening post creaked and groaned. Metal pieces had fallen, lights were flickering, and the power grid was unstable. But Harker and Thesha were alive. They had killed the Void Line scout, but they both knew what that meant. They know we're here now, Harker said, coughing into his sleeve. Thesha knelt beside the remains of the enemy's body. Most of it had burned in the blast, but the chest piece was still there. She pried it open with a sharp metal rod and pulled out a black chip. What's that? Harker asked. Command link, she said. A short-range connection to its fleet. If we're lucky, this will tell us how far the others are. If we're unlucky? They're already above us. Thesha connected the chip to the console. Static filled the screen, then strange symbols blinked across it. Karnat language mixed with Terran code. Even Harker couldn't read it. But Thesha could. Her face turned hard. They're close, she said. 2 ships, bigger than scouts. One has weapons enough to destroy this post. How much time? Harker asked. Maybe 10 minutes. Harker paced. We can't fight 2 warships. We can't even run. The shuttle's still charging. Then we send the message now, she said. Even if it costs us. They worked fast. Harker activated the old long-range antenna system, while Thesha cleaned the data cube and connected the crystal chip with the list of names. The station was old, but the core systems were strong. We have one chance, Harker said. Once we power the signal, they'll detect it. They'll fire. I know, Thesha said, but we must speak before we are silenced. Harker looked at her. Even if no one listens, she met his eyes. Someone will. They must. The signal was ready. Harker hit the main switch. The antenna outside the station began to glow. A deep hum filled the air. Energy flowed through the walls like a heartbeat. On the screen, a countdown began, transmitting 12%, 18%, 25%. Come on, Harker whispered. Send faster. Outside, the radar lit up again. They found the signal, Thesha said. Missiles locked. Harker ran to the defense panel. I'll try to fire back. You can't stop them, she said calmly. But maybe you can slow them. She moved to the escape pod bay. What are you doing? Harker asked. She opened a backup hatch. I'll launch a decoy pod. Make it look like we're escaping. If they believe it, they might aim for the wrong target. Thesha, they'll shoot it down. Yes, she said. But not you. He grabbed her arm. I'm not leaving you here. She didn't pull away. You believed me when no one else did. I owe you this. Then let's survive together. Thesha stared at him for a second, then gave a small nod. All right. Together. Back at the console, the signal reached 64%, but the radar now showed 2 missiles inbound. They're targeting the antenna, Harker said. They know what we're doing. He grabbed a spare power cell and ran to the outer bay. Thesha followed. What now? We boost the antenna, Harker said, just for a few more seconds. He slammed the cell into the base of the antenna unit and overrode the limiters. Sparks flew. The antenna surged with power. Too much, but enough. Signal strength rising, Thesha said, watching her scanner. Now 81%. The missiles were only 40 seconds away. We're not going to make it inside, Harker said. She looked up at the docking bay ceiling. There, she said. Service tunnel! They climbed quickly into the narrow shaft. Heat pressed against them from the power core below. Dust choked the air. Harker's hands burned as he pulled himself through. Thesha followed, silent and fast. Behind them, the eye. Countdown continued 88%, 93%, 96%. Then, boom. A shockwave shook the whole station. The antenna exploded. Parts of the listening post broke off and drifted into space, but the screen, still faintly lit, read, Message sent. In the dark tunnel, Harker and Thesha held still as dust fell around them. The emergency lights blinked once, then died. They had survived, just barely. They returned to the control room. Half the systems were offline, but the core was still running. Harker checked the signal logs. It went out clean. Message reached 3 Terran relay points, 2 Karnat. Thesha smiled, tired but real. Then the galaxy knows now. They'll come after us, Harker said. Void line, maybe even our own governments. Yes, she said, but some will come to help too. He sat down beside her. You sure? She nodded. Now that the truth is free, they can't hide in the shadows anymore. The next hours were quiet. They repaired what they could. Rationed food and air. The shuttle still needed time to charge. Outside, the enemy ships had pulled back. For now, Thesha stared out the window. Her eyes searched the stars. Do you think they'll listen? She asked softly. I think the right people will, Harker said. And if they don't, we keep talking. We don't stop. She turned to him. Then I will stay with you. You sure about that? He asked with a small smile. You fight for truth, she said. That is rare. I will protect that. The stars outside remained quiet, but deep in the darkness a storm was coming, and now 2 voices, once alone, were no longer silent. They were ready, together. The stars outside the ruined listening post looked cold and distant. Inside, Harker and Thesha sat quietly, their faces tired but determined. They had sent the warning out. Now, all they could do was wait. The shuttle hummed softly as its systems slowly charged. But there was no sign of rescue. No friendly ships, no answers. Harker stood and stretched, feeling the weight of the past days pressing down on him. We can't stay here forever, he said. Thesha nodded. The void line will not give us time. They will return. Then what? We run again? She looked out the viewport. No, we prepare. For hours, they explored the station's broken corridors. Most rooms were empty, coated with dust and silence. But in the bowels of the listening post, they found a small data vault still intact, the kind of place meant to hide secrets. Thesha opened the heavy door and slid inside. Her fingers flew over the ancient keyboard. Suddenly, a map appeared on the screen. Star systems, fleets, and hidden bases marked with red dots. This is their network, she said. The Void Line's secret bases. Harker leaned in. So they aren't just after this station. They're everywhere. Yes, Thesha said. And it's worse than we thought. She zoomed in on one red dot closer to Earth's outer colonies. They plan to attack this system next, to wipe out anyone who knows. Harker's stomach twisted. We have to warn them. Now! They prepared a new transmission. This one shorter, sharper, and urgent. Attention, Thesha spoke into the console's mic, her voice steady but firm. This is a warning to all human and Karnat colonies. The Void Line Ascendancy moves to destroy those who oppose their control. Evacuate or prepare to fight. Harker watched the screen as the signal was sent out to local relays and defense networks. Hopefully someone will listen this time. But hope was short-lived. Suddenly, the station shook violently. An explosion rocked the hull. Void Line! Thesha shouted. They rushed to the viewport. 3 massive warships appeared, closing in fast. Harker grabbed his pulse rifle. No more hiding! Thesha took a combat stance. Then we fight! The battle was brutal. Void Line ships fired laser blasts and missile salvos. The listening posts' defenses were old, but still deadly. Harker manned a turret and fired, while Thesha moved through the corridors, activating traps and guiding the shots. One missile exploded near the power core, and the station's lights flickered. We can't hold much longer, Harker yelled. We must hold, Thesha answered. For the message, for everyone who will hear it. In the chaos, the station's emergency doors slammed shut. Harker and Thesha were trapped inside the control room, surrounded by darkness and distant explosions. Then, the power went out. Backup systems, Harker said, fumbling for a flashlight. Thesha scanned the room for threats. We need to get to the shuttle, Harker said. Agreed. But the corridors may be blocked. They moved carefully, using the light from their wrist devices. The air smelled of smoke and burned metal. Suddenly, a shadow moved. Harker raised his rifle. A figure stepped into the light. A Terran soldier, battered and exhausted. Friend or foe? Harker demanded. The soldier raised his hands. Friend, name's Captain Aaron. I'm here to help. Thesha lowered her weapon slightly. How did you get here? Stealth transport. I heard your message. We came as fast as we could, but the station's in lockdown. Harker and Thesha exchanged a hopeful glance. Captain Aaron led them through hidden maintenance tunnels. Outside, the sounds of battle continued. We have reinforcements coming, Aaron said, but we need to get you to the outer colonies. You're the key to stopping the Void Line. Good, Harker said, because we're ready. The 3 moved fast, dodging debris and avoiding patrols. At last, they reached the shuttle bay. The small ship hummed softly, still charging. Thesha checked the systems. Enough power for a quick jump, but not much farther. Then we make it count, Aaron said. Harker started the shuttle's engines while Thesha ran final diagnostics. Ready for launch, Harker said. Aaron nodded. We'll cover you from the ground. The shuttle lifted off just as alarms blared and explosions shook the station. Missiles streaked past as the Void Line tried to stop them, but the shuttle slipped away fast and small. In space, the trio looked back. The listening post was burning, a dying beacon in the cold void. Thesha's voice was steady. They will keep coming, but now we are not alone. Harker looked at her. Together, he said. We survive, we fight, we win. She smiled. The stars stretched out before them, full of danger but also hope. The small shuttle sped through space, leaving behind the burning ruins of the listening post. Inside, Harker, Thesha, and Captain Aaron sat tense but determined. The message had been sent. Now, they were the galaxy's last hope. Outside, stars streaked past like silver blades. Somewhere out there, allies were listening. Somewhere out there, the fight was just beginning. Aaron checked the navigation. We're close to the outer colony of Viridian. It's a military base with a fleet. If anyone can help us, it's them. Thesha nodded. We must convince them quickly. The Void Line won't wait. Harker leaned forward. How do we know they'll believe us? We're just 3 against a fleet. Aaron gave a tired smile. Because the Void Line's attacks have already started. The colonies are scared. They want proof, and your message is it. As the shuttle approached Viridian, the colony's defense network lit up the screen. Sensors scanned their ship. A voice came through the comm. "Identify yourself." Harker cleared his throat. "This is Engineer Harker, with Captain Aaron and Thesha of the Karnat. We have urgent intelligence about a Void Line attack." There was silence. Then, the voice replied, "Stand by for docking clearance." Inside the military base, the trio was led through high-tech corridors. Soldiers and officers passed by, eyes sharp and wary. They reached the command center. A tall woman in uniform looked at them. Her badge read, "Commander Ilyana." "I'm Commander Ilyana," she said. "We received your transmission. Tell me everything." Harker and Thesha exchanged glances. Thesha began, "The Void Line Ascendancy is more than just a pirate fleet. They are a well-organized force aiming to control the galaxy through fear and destruction." She showed the data cube and the list of traitors. They've infiltrated many governments and systems. The attack on the listening post was only the start. Commander Ilyana listened carefully. "This changes everything." The command center buzzed with urgency. "We will prepare a defense," Ilyana said. "But we need more allies." Aaron looked at Harker. "You ready for this?" Harker nodded. "I never thought I'd be a soldier, but I want to protect my home." Thesha smiled. "And I want to fight for peace." Days passed quickly. Viridian's fleet mobilized. Ships gathered, crews trained, and plans made. Harker worked with engineers, using the data to find weak points in the Void Line ships. Thesha trained soldiers in new tactics and shared her knowledge of the enemy's technology. Iran led reconnaissance, missions to track Void Line movements. The colony was alive with hope and fear. One night, as the stars shone cold and distant, Harker and Thesha stood on the observation deck. The fleet stretched before them like a wall of steel. Harker asked, quietly, "Do you think we'll win?" Thesha looked at the stars. "We have to, because if we don't, there will be no tomorrow." He smiled faintly. "Thank you for trusting me." She took his hand. "No. Thank you for believing in me when no one else did." The Void Line attacked. Before dawn, massive warships appeared, black and deadly, with blue lights glowing like eyes of a predator. The battle was fierce. Lasers tore through space. Explosions lit the void. Ships on both sides fell. Inside the command center, Harker and Thesha worked side by side, directing defenses and coordinating strikes. "Shields at 20%, a technician shouted. "Divert all power," Thesha ordered. Aaron's voice came through comm. "Enemy boarding parties detected. Prepare for ground combat." The fight was brutal and desperate, but something changed. As the battle raged, transmissions from other colonies flooded in, warnings, reinforcements, messages of hope. The galaxy was waking up. Hours later, the Void Line began to retreat. Ships limped away, battered and broken. Commander Ilyana breathed deeply. "We held them." Thesha smiled. "We fought together, and we won." Harker looked out at the stars. "This is only the beginning," he said. The galaxy was dangerous. The Void Line was still out there, lurking. But now, humans and Karnat and others were united. They were no longer alone. They were ready. As dawn broke over Viridian, Harker and Thesha stood side by side. The stars above promised a new day. Together, they would protect it. Together, they would fight for peace. Together, they were stronger.